How does one come to know the unknowable? What faculties must a man possess? Since it was discovered that whale oil could light our cities in ways never achieved before, it created global demand. It has pushed man to venture further and further into the deep blue unknown. We know not its depth, nor the host of creatures that live there. Monsters. Are they real? Or do the stories exist only to make us respect the sea's dark secrets?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.
It's too big and too old Englishy.
Heads up. There's smoke upstairs. The alarm may sound. It's going to be loud.
Oh my god, what is happening?
What the hell?
Or maybe 1978's Halloween? Hello and thank you for listening to Cheap Seat Reviews, the podcast that explores the Hollywood film industry for the greater good.
There she blows for the greater good, matey.
Nice. Your Boston accent's terrible, but yeah, I like your sailor theme there. It's great.
I tried.
Yeah,
I tried. What else can I? What else can I do?
I mean,
yeah, right.
It's no worse than Chris Hemsworth's Boston accent. So,
Isn't that?
Did he have an accent? I thought it was Australian.
well, he is Australian. He's trying to do Boston. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We'll talk more about that later. What were you trying to say? Their voice, who I have not identified yet.
Which one? My voice?
No, never mind. This is episode 365. Obviously, we've done this before. And tonight we're talking about In the Heart of the Sea. In
which aorta? In which chamber? The left or the right?
I don't know.
Right? Aren't there two chambers? Or no, four chambers in a heart?
Four chambers.
I can't remember how many we have.
A human heart or a whale
The
heart?
aorta is a vein, isn't it? Isn't that like an artery, like it's in your neck or something?
Yeah, it deals with a heart. Would that be like the Gulf of Mexico? Would that be the aorta of the ocean?
I don't know. This metaphor is already...
The anus of the ocean, I think.
That's just South Carolina.
That's true.
Dang. Shade on South Carolinians. I'm sorry. I have some
Poor
wonderful
South
cousins down there, and they're wonderful people. But they're not from South Carolina, so I guess that's fine. I am Sean Allred, and joining me tonight is Andrew sleeps in a dead whale, Jemison.
Ugh.
You know, if it wasn't the thing from Star Wars that he cuts open and they stay warm.
Oh, the
what is it called?
The tauntaun.
The tauntaun. Yeah. I can't. Yeah, I forgot that.
I thought they smelled bad.
It's going to be a whale instead. I feel like a whale would be more roomy.
Yeah,
you know,
right?
If we put it on like some rollers or something, it could be a mobile home.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it. Just plug my nose, you know.
We've seen those houses made out of whale ribs and stuff, right? Or the tents that the Inuk Indians would use for their houses.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you're watching, but yeah, that sounds fun.
Documentaries.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Discovery.
That's all Discovery.
Nat Geo.
What used to be the History Channel when it actually did real history.
You mean not just when all they did was aliens and stuff?
Aliens.
All I have to do is just say aliens, and that meme just pops in your head, right?
Yeah, you know exactly what we're talking about.
The dude with the hair. And Sam got really upset when he learned what a sextant was really for Vector.
Nice. And Sean, just so you know, if I was ever in the middle of the ocean and you were on a boat with me, you were on the menu. I would like to say I would think Sean would have a little bit of spice to him, like some paprika or some red pepper.
Yeah. You think gingers are naturally spicy?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think there's a bland bone in your body.
The problem would be is that I would sunburn so quickly
Oh yeah, I like crispy skin.
That's what it would be. I would be the extra crispy recipe of the KFC variety.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay.
What is that? Camperones? I don't know. There's a Mexican term for it at the restaurant. It's like basically it's pork rinds.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No.
I guess. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish.
Obviously. And that's just the three of us tonight. We have no guests.
Yeah, it feels really weird.
It does kind of feel weird. It's for the first time in many months we haven't had a guest, and that is okay. And it's not for any reason other than I just didn't ask anyone.
You know what it makes me feel like, though?
What's that?
I feel like we are...
That is not coming through at all, but...
it's not?
No.
Well,
I don't know if
I'll let you guys and our listener just imagine what I played. I'm not even going to tell you. We're not going to reference it.
It just sounded like little children voices. That's all we could hear.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if that's what you thought it was, that's what it is then.
Okay. That's what it is. Yeah, well, not since we did Thunder Force have we not had a listener, had a guest,
Did we not suffer somebody through Thunder Force?
We did it live. We did a live chat.
That's right.
So we had some friends participating with us. But no, it was just the three of us. So
yeah.
And that's okay. We've got some great guests lined up for October. I'm looking very much forward to that. October is going to be a fun month because we've got 2 movies on our list that are kind of legitimately scary. And
yeah,
looking so.
We've got Santa Claus lined up for December.
I really wanted to watch Fat Man for December.
I do too. Where's it streaming?
I think it's only on Hulu, which is annoying because I don't have Hulu.
Well, I have Hulu. I'll watch it and tell you.
I've got Hulu too.
No. I don't know if we kind of did it on the show, but I don't know if I actually officially announced it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a couple announcements now at the beginning of the show. But November is going to be Star Wars November, guys. We're doing.
I thought it was No Nut November.
Well, I mean that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Natural anyway.
Okay.
But we're doing Star Wars. We're going to do the original trilogy. A listener said, "Hey, you've done the prequel and you've done the sequel trilogies. I really got to hear you guys talk about the trilogy, the original, the OG." And I said, "You know what? We weren't going to, but because you asked us, we will do it." So
yeah, because we do that for our listeners.
We do. We are nice like that.
And Andrew needs to learn his Star Wars terminology like Tauntaun.
Yeah, that's right. Tauntaun.
Yeah.
Sounds like there's like a W in there. It's not like it's a. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Do you know how much a tauntaun weighs?
A ton? Thank you, Andrew. Or Sam, that was good. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I've got dad jokes. What can I say?
Hey, dad jokes are the best.
I found out, by the way, a way to get my children to walk to school faster because they drag in the mornings.
Okay.
So I've been going behind them and clucking like a chicken and pecking at their heads with my nose.
Oh my gosh.
And they run away. It's great.
I gotta get video of this.
Right?
Is there any way I could bribe your wife to video this?
Yeah, she's at work, so it's just me.
Oh, that's a bummer.
So yeah.
Okay. All right, 2015's In the Heart of the Sea. Directed by Ron Howard. Had either one of you guys watched this before?
Yes. Yeah, I've seen this one.
No, I didn't even know it existed.
You're the second or third person that I've talked to that said the same thing, that they didn't even know this was a thing.
Yeah.
Which is
I think it kind of slid under the radar. It's not a franchise. It's not a big tentpole. It's just kind of a good old-fashioned movie, I think, really.
Well, it came out in 2015. Isn't that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
And you would think that we would have heard something about it by now. That was 6 years ago. But this is the first I've heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, it came out. I'm looking to try to see what time of the year it came out.
It says December.
Was it December? So that usually December movies are kind of like trying to do a little bit of Oscar bait kind of thing. Mm-hmm. This is one of the...
I'm sorry, they're what?
Oscar bait.
Oscar bait. Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is that what you do with your statue?
We've still got a little hangover from our movie from last week.
I have been told last week's episode was the most blue we've ever done, but they enjoyed it with lots of giggles.
Oh.
So
that's good. Is Oscar baiting anything like procrastinating?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
You go blind either way.
I mean, I think so.
I heard that term for the first time the other day. Someone said they were procrastinating.
That's nice.
And I said, I don't want to know what that involves, but I can assume.
I mean, it sounds pretty obvious.
It's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I'm not at the risk of ruining the bit. Like, you do know what Oscar bait means, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just being an ass.
I know, but I'm looking at you on camera, and you're so deadpan. I'm like, does he actually not know what that term means? I'm confused. That's okay.
I know.
Oh, if you're listening, also, I have to clear this up because I actually texted Sam during the week to figure this out. So last week we were talking about Mark Paul Gosselaar. See, I practiced, dude.
Very nice.
And Sam kept talking about Richie Rich, the original. And none of us knew what the heck he was talking about. And we were all very confused. And I finally texted Sam, I don't remember what it was, like 2 or 3 days ago. I was like, what were you talking about? And it was Silver Spoons was the TV show you were trying to come up with. And you said that you thought that the lead in that show looked like
they're spot on.
And so I took 2 pictures. I did screenshots and then sent them to you. And they are as similar as you and I are to each other. And that is, we are both white dudes.
We could be brothers.
So I was like, okay, that's fine. But I was just amazed because when I went back because I was editing the show, I went back and I was listening to that segment and I was trying so hard because usually I can parse out who you're trying to figure, like your skill set is many things, but one of them is not remembering the names of people for shows and movies.
Because I could care less about the actor. I like their character, not the actor themselves.
Sure. Again, not no fault there. It's a thing. Again,
it's like following a band. I never have really followed a band, but I enjoy individual songs that bands do.
That's okay. I mean, and I know. Yeah, I mean that's like. I'm a huge fan of. I'm trying to think. Like I love, Foo Fighters, right? And I know that Dave Grohl is the lead, but I don't know anybody else in that band.
Yeah,
and
it's thanks to Sam that I know that Joe Pesci was in The Magnificent Seven and Terminator.
Right?
Oh my gosh. It's been a long time since we've had an accidental Joe Pesci sign.
Joe Pesci, yeah, that's great.
For listeners of the podcast for more than the last, I guess, 100 episodes, that's a fun callback. Okay, so this movie, again, I don't know if this is going to be one of those movies where we talk about more things than the movie itself. I don't know. We'll find out. I guess I'm kind of using pun fully intended, steering the ship here. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, please tell us and the listeners what is In the Heart of the Sea.
In 1820, crewmen aboard the New England vessel Essex face a harrowing battle for survival when a whale of a mammoth size and strength attacks with force, crippling their ship and leaving them adrift in the ocean. Pushed to their limits and facing storm, starvation, panic, and despair, the survivors must resort to the unthinkable to stay alive. Their incredible tale ultimately inspires author Herman Melville to write the classic Moby-Dick.
Wow. That is very obviously not an IMDb read.
No, it's not.
Is that the HBO read?
But the weird thing about that read, though, is that a third of the movie is their survival at sea, maybe?
Yeah.
Right? Most of the movie is setting up the survival at sea.
Yeah.
Right.
Which was interesting, because I've read this book. It's a great book, by the way.
Oh, you did? That's right. I do remember you saying that the other day. You might have been off air, but I remember you saying that. So
yeah, it is a great book, and they stay fairly true in this movie to the book.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could say that really kind of not bothered me, but was different was that the whale never really followed them around. Does that make sense?
So that was the attack, and then that was kind of it.
Yeah, and then once the attack was done, there was no more, whale attacking the smaller vessels or whatever.
Yeah.
But it stayed pretty true in terms of who the characters are, the dynamics between the characters, and things like that. It's a great book. I'd recommend it for sure.
Right. All right. Heck yeah.
Yep.
Well, since you already kind of have the microphone there, Sam, why don't you give us your 5-word review?
Oh man, do I have to?
No.
All right, let me load it on up here. And I've got 2 of them tonight. The first one is Amazing Story, Beautiful Film. And my second one is A Masterclass on Leadership. And
Interesting.
This is a weird movie. And watching it again kind of has me trying to think of how exactly I can explain why it's weird. But I really enjoy these types of movies. I really enjoy this type of storytelling. But this one is, I don't want to say forgettable. It's just not, it's not something that would be on my shelf that I'd watch again on purpose. I enjoy it. It's gorgeous. I mean, I love the cinematography. Ron Howard's great about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the actual story itself and how it's told, it wasn't that I wasn't impressed, but it was just kind of, this is decent. This is okay. I saw this in the theater as well, and I saw it in 3D, which was kind of fun. But the only kind of real 3D things were the whale attack itself was pretty amazing in 3D, or whenever the whale would crest out of the water and crush the boats and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's I don't know how to describe it. It's interesting. It never really goes that far. For some reason, I forgot that there were more than one survivors. I want to say in the book there was one survivor. I'm not 100% sure. But for some reason in my brain, I thought only Tom Holland made it to the end. And was pleasantly surprised this time around that there were a few more survivors. So I enjoyed reading the history of this. I don't know if anybody looked it up of whatever happened to Owen Chase afterwards.
Yeah, I have a whole section in trivia about what happened to him afterwards. His story is really interesting.
It made me feel better knowing, that not that he lived happily ever after, but at least he was, it wasn't a tragedy per se. Although you might say he eventually was.
Yeah, it's...
But it wasn't like he was disbarred and never could sail again, right? Because you got that from his character in this movie. You figured, sailing was his life, whaling was his life, and you don't want him to stop. At least when you get the feeling in this movie. So yeah, I'm kind of leaning on you guys a little bit tonight to figure out kind of my thoughts on this thing. It's beautiful, but is it impactful? Does it tell a true good story from beginning to end? I find it interesting that it's set up. Usually a movie's in 3 acts, right? And this one feels like there's an act of before the ship, and then you've got the ship itself, and then you've got the whale attack and survival, and then you've almost got a little epilogue of
it's like an epilogue,
of what happened once they got to shore. And it just, I don't know, maybe they should have stopped when they got on land. I don't know. I'll see what you guys think.
I do want to ask the question before Andrew tells us his very good opinion, I assume.
Is masterful.
Yeah, very masterful. I watched this, so I watched this movie, not when it came out, but maybe a year after it came out. My wife and I, we rented it and we watched it, and I really liked it. And I thought this would be good for would be good for the podcast. I can't wait for it to become streaming. So this is one of the movies that I have kind of keep an eye out if it's ever streaming for. And since now we have HBO as an option for streaming, that's why I threw it on the list. And this time I watched it, I didn't like it as much as I did the last time. And I think that's because
exactly kind of my thoughts as well. Where I thought it was fantastic until I watched it this time, and it wasn't that it was bad, it was that it was ho hum. It was okay.
And here's my thinking, and maybe I'm up a creek or whatever. I don't know. I'm counting 5, 6, 7, 8. Is it because 8 weeks ago we did Master and Commander?
No.
Because
I feel like that's a different movie altogether.
It's a different movie, but it's the same kind of movie, and I think that's a better movie.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
I personally think that it's a better sailing kind of movie.
A nautical film.
And I kept thinking, in my head, I kept kind of comparing the two. I kept sitting here thinking, the other one feels more lived in than this one, and I don't know why.
Well, there's times in this movie as well that you really notice the green screen.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know that these guys are not in a hurricane on a boat in the middle of the ocean. It did not feel as real, especially Master and Commander.
It didn't even look like they were on a real boat in a tank being sprayed with water.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, it didn't even look like that. It just looked like they CGI'd the water in front of the lens, and they were just walking around on a set.
Yeah. Yeah. It was I think the costumes look great. I think the boat looked great, but I just think the effects were just, I hate to say, poorly done in this one.
Okay.
And that's saying something, right? If we would have seen this, in the 90s, if this would have come out in the 90s, we would have been absolutely amazed. We would have been, jaws on the floor, amazed at what we were seeing.
Well, especially at the
fact that we are so used to good effects now that we don't accept half-hearted effects.
No.
Especially with a movie of this caliber, with the actors that are here, with the director, this movie should be flawless in terms of that type of stuff.
Like Apollo 13 looked like a better movie. Like it looked like the, what I'm saying? Maybe that's a bigger budget. I don't know. Maybe that's not fair, but that movie is also 14 years earlier or something. So I just
but they weren't in the ocean yet. It's hard to do water effects.
It is hard. There was the couple moments that I really noticed. Honestly, was the intro that I played as like the fish are going by. It looked kind of weird. But now hearing you say that you saw this and it was in 3D makes me wonder if the 2D, did they shoot it in 3D and then the 2D conversion's a little funky, or did they shoot it in 2D and then up converted it to 3? I don't know. There's nothing in the trivia about it, but
I honestly forget that movies are in 3D anymore.
I don't think they do them in 3D anymore, do they?
I don't like watching movies in 3D just because it bothers me. I know some people that might be their thing, but when you were saying that, I was just thinking, I don't know that I've seen a movie in 3D in a very long time.
Well, I mean, I watched Endgame in 3D and Infinity War. The big Marvel movies have been in 3D, but none of them are shot in 3D.
Right, which
Avatar
is why I don't bother.
Shot in 3D, but the rest are just converted digitally afterwards, in post. And some people don't like that; they don't like the look of it. So, anyway.
Well, I think if a movie is meant to be in 3D, and when 3D was like a thing, and they were making movies like. I think back to that one of the Minion movies where they have the party thing blowing out at the screen and they're moving a ladder at the, stuff like that. I'm like, okay, that's meant to be in 3D, and enjoyed in 3D. But stuff like this, I don't know. And that does make me ask the question, like you said, does that conversion mess something up for the streaming audience? I don't know.
Well. What's your 5-word review there, sir?
Well, I have 3, and you'll be proud of me because all 3 of them are 5 words this week.
Wow.
And,
wow.
Yeah. I usually pay no attention to that rule. It's more like a guideline. But this time I actually went with it. So, number 1, Hemsworth accent's a little sus.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I had flashbacks to Kevin Costner in Robin Hood because I was like, look, dude, you can't do it. Just do your Australian accent and we'll pretend that's fine. But
now is Nantucket, is it a Boston accent? Is Nantucket a Boston thing?
It is, but my question would be, is 1820s Boston accent what it is in 2020?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that the average moviegoer would be fine, and they would probably understand that maybe he's an immigrant. It's 1820, like.
Yeah, we don't know his story, so.
Unless you do the background check and you check your history on this, you don't know.
Well, it's such a big deal is made about the name Chase and that he's name Chase as in someone's chasing a name, but his name is Chase, and that there's a big deal made about the name and the family and all that stuff that I hate in society, especially back then. And I'm okay with him being a native. I think the problem is simply he's trying to do a Boston accent like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon can, and I think that's the problem. Just do an American accent because we've heard it before.
Yep.
And I'll just go ahead and get this out of the way because he is our Star Trek connection, but he did a fine just American accent in the Star Trek movie. So just
no, he was only in there for like 5 seconds.
Correct. So. He literally has about 38 words total on screen, and it'll be interesting to see. The rumor is that the newest Trek that they're in pre-production for, he's gonna reprise his role as Kirk's dad. They're gonna do some kind of dumb time travel thing, and Kirk is gonna be able to like save him or something. I don't know. Star Trek has this bad habit of we don't have a good idea. Well, let's time travel. Okay.
Star Trek Generations.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
Which I like that one, but it is a bad movie.
It is. I have fond memories of it too, and I've mentioned multiple times why. But yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, so my next 5-word is a whale of an adventure.
I was wondering if someone was going to do the
because it is an adventure. Even though it's not fun at times, it's certainly an adventure. And then my third one puts Donner Party to shame. Yeah.
Oh.
And listener, if you haven't seen this movie,
I love how you always just assume that it's one.
Well,
it's always just a listener.
More because
false advertising, right? We can't get sued by making false and misleading statements.
Hey, I can name at least 3 people I know that are listening to this show right now. So I know there's at least 3.
I want
all 3 of our mothers.
It's personal though. I'm talking directly to them, and so it's just one.
That's true. They're not listening it communally. It's not like
we don't see groups.
Yeah. I can't imagine anyone sits around the radio set. Like in the good old days and says, "Oh, let's turn on the old podcast and see what Cheapseat Reviews has to say."
Just wait. When we're 90 years old, there will be people in our homes that'll get together in the rec room to listen to old podcasts.
You know what? I like that idea. Honestly, I like the idea. Like I'm 90 and I'm like, "Hey guys, you want to listen to my podcast from?" 50?
I hope when we're 90, we'll still listen to like. WAP, and I hope that people still twerk in their 90s. I just want to see what that's going to be like.
If
I know
anything, to just embarrass their kids, right?
Yeah, but I just hope in a nursing home in the future that I see that happening. So anyway, if you haven't seen this movie, prepare yourself beforehand. It doesn't really get into anything really disturbing that you see necessarily, but the imagery is certainly there, and you can. It paints it clearly in your mind, even though you don't see what's happening. And I understand when you're in these survival situations, you do incredible things to survive.
To stay alive.
Just to keep going. But the thought of eating another human being is just rough, And you may have done this research. I haven't. Is this based on a true story?
Yeah.
I assume from the read that I did that it is.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. I've never read Moby-Dick, and which I know is a shame, I guess.
I haven't either. Yeah.
But
neither have I. It's too big and too old Englishy to wrap my brain around.
But I didn't know that it was based off of a true story, and thinking about this is it's terrible, the things that they had to go through to survive. If that's legit, if it's not Hollywooded up, I guess you could say.
As far as I've read the book, and the book is a nonfiction, right? They used research, they used news stories, they used interviews. Everything on the boat happened, if not worse. If I remember right, there was a lot more written about what happened on the boats, not beforehand, right?
Yeah.
So, it was pretty nasty what they had to deal with.
As I was watching it, though, I started to think about, what was it, 14 months at sea at one point? Isn't that what we saw on the...
Yeah, they were at sea on the Essex for 14 or 15 months, yeah.
Yeah, and I just got to thinking, my gosh, I can't stand being, with people other than my family for more than, a week. And can you imagine...
Stuck on a boat?
And not just normal guys either. Some of these are criminals, and, you're stuck on the ship with them.
Some of them fart in their sleep.
Exactly. Well, and there's no comfy mattresses, and there's no
no privacy.
Warm meals.
Yeah. Well, there's more meals, but there's no privacy, and no one has bathed. The only time you get a bath is if it rains.
Right. And I just got to thinking, man, this must really suck. Just life on the ship in general must really suck for that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they also got paid, and that's why they did it.
Yeah. That's true.
It was the risk, but they also knew that they were going to get paid, and that they, they were guaranteed food, and if it was a successful trip, you get that money. So yeah, it was
you
worth
work
the
for
risk.
14 months, and then you have a year off, kind of thing. So have the money to burn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yep.
All right.
What about you, Sean?
Oh. I wrote 2. I don't usually write 2, but I was in a mood, so I wrote 2. So my first one was, and I think Sam kind of alluded to it earlier about his. This is a primer or primer. I guess primer is how the British say on leadership. So I wrote, listening to others is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie commits the trope not once but twice, where someone who is in authority has the opportunity to listen to someone else who has been there, right? Mm-hmm. So in this case, Chris Hemsworth is like, Captain, we should not do this. This is bad. The ship will be damaged. And the captain says, nonsense. The men need to be tested. It's just a little
baptized.
Wind. Yeah, we need to be baptized. It's just a little wind. Captain, this is a squall. This thing will turn us over. We're in trouble. We need to do the thing. No nonsense. And then, of course, it turns out bad, and the ship is damaged, and they have to spend many days repairing the ship. And then we fast forward a year, and they meet the bad guy from Bad Boys 2, and he's like, there was a giant whale that destroyed my boat and killed 6 men. Oh, well, clearly you've had too much to drink here, Spaniard, so we're going to go out there. We're going to listen to the first half of your story where you say that there's whales, but we're going to ignore the second half where you said one tried to kill you. So listening is hard. And my second one is, I'm having to paraphrase, obviously, to make it fit to 5 words, but I think the quote will still work, and that's, we need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
Could you imagine, though, being even on the skiffs that are going after the whales, the size difference, and just one leap out of the water could just completely capsize and crush and kill you.
Yeah.
And it blows me away that people were willing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the boats did get capsized before the big, or I guess it was by the big whale, right? Like he bumped them. So they're all in the water, and the big tail comes out of the water, and that's when they go, holy smokes, this thing is huge. And they had to go back and repair the boat before they can go back out and, and hunt.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. It seemed crazy that was the way to do it, was to get in the little boats and then chase after them with, hand-thrown spears. But I guess they didn't really have...
And, well, one of the things they talk about in the book as well, and I hate to keep going back to the book,
no, it's fine.
But they describe how the hunt worked, right? Obviously, they cannot show on major movie screens exactly how a whale hunt works because it's just nasty and gross. But, basically, you're trying to wear these things out. And, you harpoon them and you get the lines on them, and you get so many lines on them that they're finally so exhausted that they give up. And when they give up, you get next to them and then basically stab them to death until they blow blood.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a gruesome way to hunt. And not only that, I believe they mentioned that there's for every one whale they're able to bring back to the main ship, they lose like 2 in the ocean because they sink.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. So they'll kill one, but they won't be able to keep it.
Exactly. So it's fascinating to me, the process and just the fact that they're using these things to get oil for lamps, basically.
Right.
And to me that just seems really, I don't know, archaic.
Well, obviously it does to us, yeah. But then, it's even in the movie was like, some guy put a pipe in the ground and he got oil from the ground. He's like, oil from the ground. That doesn't even make sense,
Right. Yeah.
I just
Up
like
from the ground come a bubbling groove.
oil. That is. There's a funny thing, like there's comedians that always talk about, there's always the guy that's got to be the first, right? There's got to be a guy that was the first one to say, I'm going to drink what's coming out of that cow.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So at some point, someone saw a whale and killed it, probably because they thought that's a lot of meat.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it's a big fish.
It's a big fish. So this will feed the crew for a month, right? So they bring it aboard, and it's got all this goo, and some idiot had a flame nearby, and it like exploded or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be a way that it was accidentally discovered that whales are flammable, and they're like, oh, we could make a whole industry out of this. Somebody's got to go first, right? One of those things. Okay.
Yep.
I didn't take a lot of notes though for this movie. This was one of those that I didn't take a lot of notes. I wrote my first note was Hemsworth with the way his hair was at the beginning of the movie. He kind of looks like Heath Ledger from A Knight's Tale.
Kind of.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, boy, they made him look good in this movie. Oh, well, how?
Until the end.
Well, but
I was blown away by the job that the makeup artist did, and a lot of it could be CGI and computerized or computer generated, but Chris Hemsworth is a big dude. Like, he had to get swole for all the, the MCU movies, and this was filmed right in the heart of the MCU filming, so there's no way he lost a bunch of weight for this role.
Heads up, there's smoke upstairs. The alarm may sound. It's going to be loud.
Oh my God, what is happening?
What the hell?
Whose house is that?
Andrew, are you okay?
It's not mine.
I don't know what's happening.
Do we need to take a pause while you check for a fire?
Possibly. I'll be right back.
Okay.
It says a whale is attacking Andrew's house.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm fine. We're back up. I'm gonna find a way to edit that Andrew so it doesn't sound weird. But
is sitting in a room of fire. So
yeah, that was weird.
So Andrew, you were talking about specifically about losing weight. So this is part of my trivia. There wasn't a whole lot of trivia on this movie, honestly, but I will read this one because this is very specific to what you're talking about. According to Ron Howard, to prepare for the role of starving sailors, the cast were on a diet of 500 to 800 calories a day. So they did lose weight.
Yeah, but there's no way they lost as much as they made it out.
Yeah, you're right. No, I mean at the end they, when they are on the boats before they're rescued, they're just very emaciated. So yeah, that's either makeup or maybe there's a little bit of a CGI effect
or something.
But but you can tell a difference between Hemsworth standing there at the end when he's in the house giving his testimony versus Chris Hemsworth at the beginning of the movie. He did lose weight for the role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So there was also a fun piece of trivia that because Tom Holland was only 17 when he did this movie, so because he's not an adult, there are legal restrictions on how much weight he was allowed to lose.
Oh my gosh!
Because he's only 17. So
well, he's already a skinny kid.
Yeah, he is a super skinny kid. So I mean, there's only, what I'm saying, if you're only 120, going down to 90 is going to look pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if he weighs 120. I don't know.
It's like one of my legs.
Probably does now, since he's bulked up a little bit for Spider-Man. But even that, bulking up for that is probably not very much. Let's see. I did write, in the new world, even blood matters more than skill. Talking about the captain is given the captaincy because of who his dad is and who his grandfather is, and that his grandfather, invented the whaling industry and the wheel. Yeah, that too. And invented boats. And I hate, and I know that's how it was back then. I just hate every part of that society that says, well, your last name is more important than your first name.
Well, back then, it's still that way in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
In the world today.
I just
look at the Ivy League schools. A lot of times it's who your family is rather than your qualifications.
I get that to a point, I think. I mean, I do know that, in the United States, we have, United States royalty, right? If your last name is Kennedy, you're going to get probably a little bit more preferential treatment, especially in politics, than if your last name is not Kennedy,
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have a whole lot of that certainly not in our politics. And there might be other very specific industries that are like that, like cops. Your dad was a cop, therefore you're a cop, and you're going to get the benefit of the doubt because of who your dad was. But I kind of feel like, in the last 50 years, well, maybe not 50, I don't know, I don't know. It just feels like that's gone away. But maybe not, I mean, I've read books during the 40s and 50s where it talks about, we have to make sure that we get in with the family of the town, the matriarch of the town and stuff. I hate all that. I really do.
It's still there. It really is. Especially when you look at business, like I do, you see that it all boils down to networking, and then from networking, it all boils down to, who you know, and more specifically, who you are. And it's sad, really.
But
if you come from a very wealthy family, you have much more chance of success because of that.
I get all of those things. It's who you know sometimes more than what you know. I actually do get that. Whether that's fair or not, I get that. I mean, some of the contacts I made in the film industry allowed me to get jobs, in that industry because I made connections. So I do get that part. I guess what my point is that if you and I are going after the same job, Sam, and you have your 3 degrees and I have my 1, but I'm offered the job even though I'm way less qualified because of who my family is, Not just because the guy offering me the job was buddies with my dad. It was that, well, I come from a long line of teachers, and therefore I'm going to be a better teacher than you because of my lineage, as opposed to you who have 3 degrees, but your dad was an architect or a contractor. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think you ever got preferential treatment for being a lineage in the fraternity?
I absolutely did. I was told that to my face I was told the only reason why you got a bit was because of your dad.
Oh, dear.
I was told that. On multiple occasions. Now I know that I was told that to discourage me and do that mental thing that they do in fraternities where they break you down so they can build you up. But I certainly never did it. I never got a job because of. I don't think I did. I don't know.
We are also not upper echelon. We're not CEOs. We're not vice presidents of companies. We aren't in the leadership roles where it is a lot more of who, last names start becoming a big thing. Yeah. Unfortunately.
You're right. You're right there. So maybe because we're all middle class white dudes, maybe that's just we don't see it, and that's why I think it's not there. So, and maybe that's why I hate it, is because I can't take advantage of it. Maybe it's pure jealousy. Now, I will admit, again, back to sometimes it's better who you know. I'm going to keep this story as brief as I can, but my wife, when she first started out in teaching, had a really bad principal, and all 3 of us know that bad principals can really affect, a teacher. And my wife was fired from her job because the principal did not believe special education was real, and it was a situation because my mom, who has been teaching she's been teaching for 40 plus years, knows everyone in the state, and when I called her to tell her what happened, she was able to make a phone call to the head of HR because she knew him personally, and Sarah got her job back within the hour. And maybe that doesn't happen to other people. I don't know. Yeah. Now, the circumstances which Sarah was fired were poor at best. It was a bad situation, and some other people could have made a case for a lawsuit, a wrongful termination. Now, again, we live in North Carolina where we're an at-will state. You can be fired for any reason, but still, state employees are hard to fire without probable cause or documentation. Yep. Anyway, I think I've now bored anyone that doesn't live here in North Carolina. I did.
So to go back to our discussion about the weight loss, if you are on IMDb and you take a look at picture number 85 and the photos from this film, there's a picture of Hemsworth standing there shirtless, and he really does, I guess, look like he's lost quite a bit of weight there.
That can't be good for these people, right? Yeah. You see Christian Bale do this type of thing.
Yeah.
You see, Joe Pesci do it. It's
Jonah Hill.
It can't be good for the actors themselves to put their bodies through. But I guess it's part of the job, right? They got to do the part. Dang. At least was it Tom Hanks? Didn't he? When he did Castaway, wasn't it that he started out chubby and then had to lose weight, or was it the other way around?
It was the other way around. They filmed all of the island stuff first, so before they shot, he lost the 40 or 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And then it was easier to gain the 100.
Gain it back.
To make it look like he was, yeah. Dang, that's crazy. I'm going to share that out right now on Twitter. That picture is insane.
Isn't it, though?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, thanks. Okay. One of my other notes was Spider-Man getting tossed around by Thor is really funny. I liked that part when he threw him over the side of the boat.
Of course.
Well, yeah, it was funny. Let's see. Lastly, strong whale to snap the foremast. Thought that was pretty crazy. Some strength, and you can just tell. Well, it's the whale. It's huge.
Whale.
And my last note was the cannibal story was rough and very well acted.
Yeah.
I thought Brendan Gleeson was great in that scene. I thought he was really good.
I'm so sorry. Which one is he?
Brendan Gleeson is the dude, is old version of Spider-Man. Mad-Eye Moody.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he did a really fine job. Matter of fact, I think he might be the best actor in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Or
because
at least,
having to act and think about the trauma that his character would have gone through and having to portray that PTSD, so to speak, he did a really good job with that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Although if Tom Holland looks like that when he gets older.
Poor Tom.
Poor Tom.
Poor Tom.
I don't know. I guess it could be worse. Maybe not. Okay. That's it. That's all my notes. Anything else we want to talk about before I play a few clips?
What about the guys that decided to stay on the island? I'm like, if this was us, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, all right, guys, I'm going to get back in the boat and I'm going to try for it. Are you staying or are you coming with me?
And see, that's a great question, right? Because on the island, you do have a little bit of food, right? Yeah. You've got birds, like you said. You've got fish in the ocean around you. I think I would have stayed on the island, honestly.
I think I would have too.
I didn't. Yeah. We didn't get a great look at the island. I didn't see if there was a lot of trees.
I think we got one aerial shot, and it looked like it was mostly dirt.
Yeah, it looked like a rock in the ocean. Yeah. If there were,
but there was a cave. Yeah. Although it was full of dead bodies.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably,
which again was true to the book. They actually did find a cave full of dead bodies. So
I would probably go back to sea and risk it. Risk
for a biscuit.
Yeah, I was trying not to make the rhyme, but yeah. I don't know. I guess the idea is that if you're on the boat, like, you're trying, whereas if you're on the island, you're just waiting for someone else to come and save you.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, it's a no-win scenario. Obviously, sorry that was loud. It's a bad situation. These other movies that we're going to talk about later about Lost at Sea movies. It's just that kind of is one of those kind of weird fears in the back of your head. It's like, oh, I'm flying over an ocean. Oh my gosh, it's just.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't put a Band-Aid on your finger in the the bathroom there.
I don't know what that means. Is that a reference to Lost?
That's Castaway.
Castaway. Band-Aid on the finger.
Yeah, that's how they get you. And Castaway, he does something, so he has to put a Band-Aid on his finger, and when he's ripping the Band-Aid apart or something is when you get the big crash or the big
that's right
jump scare with it.
I've seen that movie maybe once maybe twice. I don't remember it well enough for that, but okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I love the Family Guy spoof on it is when he finally delivers the package and she opens it up. She's like, "Oh, it's my sat phone. I've been looking for this. My sat phone with my solar powered battery." And he's like, "You mean this thing could have saved my life?" Just. All right, time for some clips. Okay. Oh yeah. So this clip specifically I chose is to emphasize the accent that we're talking about with Chris Hemsworth. So in this one sentence, we get a little bit of Boston, which I'm learning all you need to have for Boston is to change your A's. It's not and soften your R's, right? Like it's not Boston Yard, it's Boston Yod. And there's some of that other stuff. So but then at the end of the sentence, he full on Thor. So here we go.
As first mate? Mm-hmm. Mr. Mason, you promised me command of a ship after my last voyage when I brought you back 1,500 barrels. Do you remember? You gave me your word.
You gave me your word is 100% Thor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it almost I didn't notice it when I was capturing it, but it sounds different. Like it sounds like they had to go back and get that in ADR. I'm gonna play that again. It's toward the end there. Listen, it sounds a little different.
As first mate? Mm-hmm. Mr. Mason, you promised me command of a ship after my last voyage when I brought you back 1,500 barrels. Do you remember? You gave me your word.
That's different.
Oh, yeah. That is different.
Yeah.
Maybe he had slipped back into his Thor role when they had to do
maybe.
Reshoots or retapes or whatever you would call it.
Like this would have been...
And maybe you gave me your word is just hard for him to say, and they recorded it a few times and took the best one.
Yeah, but that sounded different. It didn't have the resonance of the room, the wooden room with a wooden desk and the wooden floor. Like that sounded different. Yeah. I mean, 2014 is when they would have been filming this. I think that's like right around the second Thor movie. You might not be wrong. He might have had to run off set to go, do the line. Okay, I like it when in C movies we get a lot of that C language. That's the way they talk. I like when he says this.
Yes.
Full pressure, smartly, lads, smartly.
Yeah, smartly.
Right. It's like a pirate language, right? Yeah. I want everybody to talk in pirate.
Well, not pirate. I want sailor.
Okay.
I don't want the R's and I don't want that. I don't want talk like a pirate day, but talk like a sailor day sounds kind of awesome, especially if we can talk like they did in Master and Commander. That's the one thing. I was going to try to find a way to do your middle names, and because in this movie they do the thing that they do in sailing movies where everybody is Mr. It's Mr. Chase, Mr. Pollard, Mr. Spider-Man, like they're all Mr. And I like that. I just like the elegance of that. And I was going to find a way to just call you guys just Mr. Jimison and Mr. Vector, but I didn't know if you would get the reference, and I didn't think it would be as funny as the picture of Andrew sleeping inside a dead whale. So
sure.
Just slip right in. I mean, it's just make yourself at home.
That's what she said.
I have a recording. It's just a 2-second recording of a time where Sam, you and I were driving together in Boone, and you told me that we were going to go to the Blue Ridge Parkway, and you said this to me.
Take me to the pretty spot.
Okay. I'll take you to
did you?
I did. I mean, I think so. I don't know. Maybe I did.
Is that a euphemism?
I thought about it. I was trying to think how I was going to play the joke because I knew I was going to do a setup. I was trying to think if I wanted to do it dirty or not. I just wasn't. It didn't strike me in the mood. But there's other ways you could play it for sure. Okay. Demon Whale. So here's a little bit of Johnny Tapia, the guy from Bad Boys 2, who has one of my favorite all-time quotes ever. About, this is a stupid problem, but it is a problem. I love that line.
There you go.
Here we go. Demon Whale.
If it weren't for that demon, a whale.
There you go. Demon.
Yes.
I wrote saves him. I don't know why. Here we go. Saves him.
No right-minded sailor disguised what might yet save him.
There you go. Yeah. That part was, that was, and... So, not to make light of the situation, this is where they've decided that they're going to eat that poor man. Well, who's now dead, so I guess he doesn't care. But Tom Holland is just bawling, and all I could think of is, your body has enough liquid to produce tears?
Yeah, I thought about that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like there's a certain point in which your body is so dehydrated that you can't even do that.
Yeah.
I hate this kind of stuff here. We talked about this earlier.
The name Chase need no longer be a landsman's name, but an established name that belongs among the great families of Nantucket.
There once was a man
that
from
it belongs.
Nantucket. This clip's kind of long, but I liked it, and it was
a lot.
Yeah, it was the end of the movie, and it's kind of Hemsworth's kind of soapbox moment, but I really enjoyed it.
The Essex was stowed by a white whale. And those of us that survived in ill-equipped whale boats had to commit abominations in order to survive. And on our return, we're expected to spread barefaced lies so that you, the ship owners in Nantucket, might line your pockets and sleep well at night. Well, I will not embroider the truth. Nor should you, George.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that pockets word, that was really Boston.
Yeah, pockets. Packets.
I
also have this 1 second clip from last week.
Dicks.
There you go. Oh, that was weird. Wait,
that was a nice little...
Why did it do that?
I don't know. That was
Dicks.
cool, though.
Oh, that's so weird. Why did it do that? All right. Well, I now have it in a weird kind of an echoey stereo thing.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Okay.
Moby-Dick.
Yeah, what was the name of this movie eventually, or the story? It was Moby-Dicks. Oh, okay. Thanks,
there
buddy.
you go.
Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
I half expected Sam to make a dick joke, but...
No. Yeah. But
I guess that's...
I'm being good. That was all last week. I'm trying to be good this week.
Yeah, no, last week was a lot. There was a lot of that. The only trope that I wrote down was the new guy makes a bad decision to prove he's good. Basically, the captain's making a bad decision to prove that he knows what he's doing. That's also a trope. The new captain, the crew doesn't trust him. I'm trying to think of some other tropes. The kid who played young Voldemort is in this movie, who comes and talks to the captain and calls him cousin, and so the familial thing, that's a trope. There's some other stuff in there, survival tropes. Anyway, time for this.
And now for some more bad news. Ready?
I already mentioned the 500 calorie a day weight loss. Before Benjamin Walker was set to play the captain, other actors that were considered included Benedict Cumberbatch, Tom Hiddleston, and Henry Cavill. Basically British dudes.
Yeah. Henry Cavill would not have worked out well. He was too buff. But Hiddleston I could have seen.
It would have been interesting to see Hiddleston in the role as the captain over, you know what I'm saying? Because, the Thor, like we already had the Thor-Loki relationship. We'd already seen it in at least 2 movies. So that would have been interesting to see. And
Cumberbatch would have been interesting too, I think.
Yeah, I think any of those would have been good. I mean,
I could see Cumberbatch being a good captain.
Yeah,
being, I could see that one.
Obviously, we've seen him play very arrogant, so that would have worked. And his American accent's not too bad either.
Right?
No, not at all.
There is something kind of funny that these are all, Boston dudes, and there's only one guy in the cast that's an American. Everyone is somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's funny. Okay, so Sam mentioned this earlier. This is a long bit of trivia, but it's basically Owen Chase, Chris Hemsworth's character. This is kind of what happened afterwards. So this is both happy and sad, which is life.
Yep.
While Owen Chase's career flourished after the Essex ordeal, his personal life included several tragedies. His wife, Peggy, who we know from the movie, had 2 additional children, Lydia and William. She died shortly after William's birth while Chase was at sea. He then married Nancy Joy. And if you remember, Mr. Joy was the Scarecrow's character who he left on the island, who died. He, the widow of his friend and Essex's second mate, Matthew Joy. Nancy gave birth to a daughter, Adeline, and then died a few weeks later while Chase was at sea. His third wife, Eunice Chadwick, apparently had an affair that resulted in a son, Charles, who was born when Chase had been at sea for 16 months. Chase filed for divorce upon his return and raised Charles as his own. So those for you counting, that's what? 1, 2, 3, 4. He has 5 kids. In 1840, after his divorce was settled, he married Susan Coffin Gwynn, the widow of fellow Nantucket whaler captain James Gwynn. Chase suffered nightmares and migraines and spent several years in an institution after he started hoarding food in his attic. He died in 1859 at the age of 62.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was back at sea, which is nice, right? If that's what he wanted to do. But what do you think set him off that course? Was it the cheating wife? Was it the death of the wives? Was it being away from home? And was it eating people at sea? I
would say it's probably a combination of all those things.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Just being at sea a long time is probably just hard on the body, and if, scurvy and things. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the life expectancy was of someone born in 18. Well, I guess he would have been born in 17 something, but yeah, it's 62. Not great, but for back then, probably is a pretty good long life, and he had a bunch of kids. All right, time for this.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Top 3 movies lost at sea. That's our category, lost at sea movies. And, we just, if it's, if the whole purpose of the movie is to be lost at sea or not, it's fine. Whatever. I think we can.
We'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be specifically only lost at sea.
Well, it's not all about the porpoise.
Yeah. Okay. Sam.
All right. Okay. So my list at number 3, I've got a small little movie called Open Water.
All right.
Have you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is
maybe
it might have single-handedly kept me from wanting to get a scuba license, because it's hard to watch, right? My number 2 is, of course, Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Love me a Castaway. But my number 1 is a beautiful movie, In and Out. I love the story. I love the analogies. I love the religious overtones of it. But Life of Pi.
Life of Pi. Yeah, I knew you were going to do that one.
Yeah. I've never seen it.
Oh, read the book first, but then watch the movie.
All right.
Sounds good.
Yep. What about you? Sean, you going next?
I do go next, yeah. So I was checking to see if we had any more Twitter responses, and we only have a couple. So actually, we have.
Hey, well, we've got responses.
Yeah, we have a couple. Let's see. Mine are. I did Castaway as number 3. My number 2, I did Waterworld.
At one point, his ship is destroyed.
The ship is burned and destroyed, and the only thing he can do is have sex with Jean Triplehorn, and then a skyboat rescues them. And my number 1 is a movie that I didn't mean to watch, and I mean that as in my wife and I had we were gifted Groupon tickets to the. It's a theater here in town that does. It's a restaurant in the theater. It's like you eat food, like real food, in the movie. And there was nothing there that we wanted to watch, but there was at least something that we would be willing to watch because the tickets were about to expire. And that was called Unbroken, and that was the Angelina Jolie directed movie about a World War II. Either he was a sailor or he was a pilot. I can't remember which, but this was a dude that he was an Olympian before the war, and then was lost at sea for, I don't remember how long it was. It was a long time. I remember the part that helped him survive was a seagull landed on their boat, on their raft, and they caught it and killed it, and then they took a bite of the bird and immediately just threw up. Like they're like, obviously we can't eat raw bird. And then so the guy says, well, maybe something in here will eat it. And so they cut up the bird, and then they fished with it, and then they were able to pull in fish, and then they could eat the raw fish, and then that's how they were able to kind of survive. And then they're rescued by a Japanese boat, a warship. So then they went from water, lost at sea, to Japanese prison camp.
Oh no!
And
those weren't generally.
Those were not
either.
nice places to be. Yeah. So his story is incredible. I mean, it is as incredible as is the story from Hacksaw Ridge. It's just a different type of incredible. Like, it's hard to understand that a human could do what he had to endure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Unbroken. Good. It's a good movie. Again, I had no intention of ever watching it, but I did, and I'm glad I did. It was very good. Andrew.
I have a honorable mention of Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Then number 3, I have a tiny little film called Titanic.
Yeah.
Oh, Shipwreck.
They
were frozen at sea, but they were lost at sea. And then another film. This one is not a good movie at all, but I like it because of the nostalgia that I have from watching it as a kid, called Shipwrecked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually watched that with my kids not that long ago, like a month and a half ago, and I remember really enjoying it. And then I watched it with the kids and went, wow, this is a bad movie.
Yeah, it's really but I did like it as a kid.
Yeah,
so.
It has the only actor, Sam, you might recognize, it would be Gabriel Byrne. And once I IMDb his oh yeah, that guy, Gabriel.
Yeah. And then at number 1, I have a kind of a disturbing movie called The Blue Lagoon, in which I lost her name. Eyebrows.
Is that what the teenagers?
Yeah, and they're like brother and sister or cousin. I can't remember exactly.
Something weird, yeah, and they end up having relations.
Lots of it.
Yeah. But it's a
Brooke
really
Shields.
good film. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but I do remember liking it, and it's a good film.
Yeah, I remember seeing most of it. Yeah, Brooke Shields and
Thank you.
The dude from.
I didn't mean to call her eyebrows, but
Well, that was a big thing.
You knew who I was talking about.
Yeah.
The dude in that movie is also in a movie called The Pirate Movie, and something called A Night in Heaven. So, yeah.
So I do have one more question about this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
The title, In the Heart of the Sea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is that the name of the book?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Because as I was watching the movie, I thought, why is it called In the Heart of the Sea?
Well, the phrase "in the heart of the sea" is a biblical reference to Jonah.
I see.
It's an actual biblical reference to Jonah and the whale and all that.
I did not know that. I'm not going to say like I did, but.
And again, I only know it because the trivia told me, so it's not like
Oh, nice.
I didn't know that.
I don't feel too much like a heathen now. Okay,
no. Heathen.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah, cool. Time for this.
Wait, what's supposed to happen?
I guess my script, I don't do this often. I forget a lot of times. But the soundtrack on this movie, I don't really notice it much. There's some moments that I thought it was really lovely. But there's a lot of times where I don't remember it.
Yeah, I tried to pay attention to it because I thought it might be something we talk about, but I didn't like it. It wasn't memorable, or didn't grab my attention. And speaking of grabbing your attention, and I think Sam, you kind of alluded to this, but this, I say a film is a good film if it keeps my attention throughout. I honestly didn't care about the first half of this movie. And then
I bet you a lot of that, though, was due to Master and Commander, because you just saw it, all that.
Maybe so. But toward the end, I mean, once the whale attacked and, they were stranded, that's when I started paying attention and really kind of got into it.
It's interesting. See, I'm kind of the opposite. I loved I was super into it until the whale attack. And then once it was just them just surviving, that's when I checked Twitter a couple of times. So that's fine. The music, the composer was a guy named Roque, Roque. He is Spanish, but his last name, his last name is Baños.
Isn't that bathroom?
I think it is bathroom. Isn't Baños?
No.
Donde está la baño?
Baño. La baño.
B-A-N with the tilde O-S?
I don't know. I'm afraid to say yes because I don't
know. You changed it to latrine? Well, it used to be shithouse. Oh, I'm sorry.
Baños is the second most populous city in Tugnoraja in Ecuador.
Oh.
Okay.
Good for him.
Baños. Hold on. Now I got to figure out bathroom in Spanish. Bathroom in Spanish is el baño. B-A-N-O.
What's the plural?
It would be
bathrooms.
We know what it is in English.
Thank you.
Is banos or baños?
It's
B-A-N-O-S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. What a shitty name.
Yeah. All right. Out of 10, what are you guys going to give this movie? IMDb gives it a 6.9.
Yeah. Am I first?
Sure.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm going to, because this was 2 hours and 2 minutes long, and I only carried about half of it, I'm probably only going to be able to go a 5. And so I'm going to say 5 point. We'll be a little kinder than that. 5.6.
Okay.
Buckets of whale blubber.
Sam.
All right. I think I liked it more than Andrew. It's not a masterpiece, but it's still a decent film. It didn't break any records in my mind, but I think IMDb is pretty close. I'm going to give it a 7.01 out of 10.
I just realized, Sam, you weren't on the Master and Commander episode, so
that one is a masterful movie. It's amazing.
Yeah,
but I'd have to watch it again to give it an official.
Well,
but it would be better than the 7. I know that.
Yeah. Well, our score average for that movie was a 6.66 repeating.
Really?
Yeah, 6.6.
Who didn't like it?
Andrew gave it a 6.1, and our guest gave it a 6.5. I gave it a 7.4.
Wow, you guys are don't like your seafaring movies.
Yeah, he probably hates Pirates of the Caribbean too.
Like the soundtrack.
Yeah. Yeah, the score is pretty great. I just realized I forgot to say our other top 3 categories. I'll go back in just a second. I'm going to give this movie, I'll probably give it a 6.5. I think it's fine. It's not great. It's pretty good. I think Chris Hemsworth is doing pretty good acting. His accent.
Some heavy lifting.
Yeah. Well, he does lift a couple heavy things. I think Tom Holland is pretty good in this movie. I think, seeing him later as Spider-Man, you go, okay, now I see why they wanted to cast him. Not just because he's a gymnast, but he's a good actor.
Yeah.
And
yep.
Yeah. Going back a segment, let's see. Cameron from Green Shirt says The Abyss, The Poseidon Adventure, and Dead Calm. I don't know what Dead Calm is, but yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And somebody else, a gentleman, Eric, at Eric Heine, Heine, Henne. Sorry if I said that wrong. Wrote Kon-Tiki, Kon-Tiki is fantastic.
Never heard of that one.
I haven't either. So, but yeah, Kon-Tiki. He says it's fantastic, and then he mentioned that the score is incredible. So, by Johann Soderquist. That's one with a Q and then a V instead of Q and a U. Soderquist. Kizvist. Anyway, go watch that. Go look that up. Kon-Tiki. in the tiki room. Okay. Time for the quote game. And I will play at random clip.
Son of a bitch must pay.
There we go. That's a good one.
Here you go.
Random clip says, quote game. So again, this is what I have to do now. Last week was This is Ripley, the last survivor of the Nostromo, signing off. I think I did a better job that time. Last week I struggled with that.
You sound just like her.
Yeah, thanks. That's from Alien, the first Alien movie. Tonight's quote, I'm going to give you a hint. It's also a Ron Howard film. And this is the quote. Houston, we have a problem.
Shazam.
That's exactly it. Shazam.
Has to be.
Has to
Oh,
be.
no. I'm sorry. It's from First Kid with Sinbad.
What was the superhero movie that he did? He did a Steel movie, right?
Did he?
I thought, or was that Shaq?
That's Shaq.
Shaq.
Okay.
Yeah. Although Sinbad was a super villain in Jingle All the Way.
He wasn't a villain. He was a spoil. He wasn't a villain.
Okay,
or a
yeah,
foil.
right.
Spoil is not the right word. He was a foil. He didn't spill things. Okay. Next week, I'm very excited to say we have again, October is coming up. We got some good stuff. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, we haven't picked our last movie of the month yet, but we're going to start next week with Blade. And we're going to have joining us Ethan from the 15 Minutes of Marvel podcast. I'm very excited for that. Then after that, we're going to do Dr. Sleep with TV's Travis.
I'm excited about that one. I haven't seen it yet, and I'm a fan of The Shining. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of The Shining, and I'm also excited to see this because I'm really interested to see if maybe this helps my opinion of the movie, or you know what I'm saying. I'll be interested to see what it does. So that we'll be joined by TV's Travis. That's his podcast handle, and The Conjuring 2.
Ooh.
Why am I a little excited for that one? I loved the first one.
I think I saw that one in the theater.
Conjuring 2?
I think I did.
Okay. Well, we're doing The Conjuring 2 with V from The Life Paranormal with V. She's coming back. We did Resident Evil with her a month or so ago, where she's going to come back to do that. So we're gonna, and then we'll probably do like a poll, a Twitter poll, to see what we're going to do for our fourth movie.
Sweet.
But it'll probably, it's been recommended to us, Sam, and maybe we make an executive decision on air. It's been recommended that we do kind of an old school horror film.
Oh,
okay.
And since you and I recently just watched Halloween, that maybe,
so you're thinking like Friday the 13th or Texas Chainsaw Massacre or something like that,
or maybe Halloween.
Halloween.
So you're thinking of like Leprechaun or Child's Play,
or maybe 1978's Halloween.
Halloween.
I still have my notes from that episode, so I don't know. We'll talk about it later. But honestly, I can't remember. I think, Sam, that the Halloween Kills will have come out, and we'll have access to it.
Previews for it now, and I'm intrigued.
I'm kind of intrigued too, especially since we now know that this is going to be a new trilogy that ends it.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. Anyway, that's going to do it for the show, right? Do I have anything else to say? I don't know. Go to our website, cheapseatreviews.libsyn.com, facebook.com. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. Just find us other places. We have a Linktree account. Just go there. We have a store. We have merchandise. People are buying our merch. It's so exciting.
Whoa.
It is very exciting. And
thanks, listener.
No, yeah. Thank you very much, listeners. And I do appreciate it. If you want to support us financially, that's really just the best way to do it. I don't really want to do the buy me a coffee or buy me a beer or what are those other ones? Tip jar. There's a bunch of ones where you can just give us money. We've been doing this podcast for 7 years. We've only asked for money one other time, and that was when myself was going through a financial hardship, and I needed a little extra to help keep the show running.
And then he started stripping.
Yeah,
we're
covered in that avenue. So yeah, but buy our merch mostly because I just like the idea that there are people wearing our T-shirts out there. Go to our website, tpublic.com, and then just do a search for Cheapseat Reviews, and you can find T-shirts, face masks, coffee mugs, stickers, magnets, button pins, anything you could think of. And if you there's a design that you would like to see,
Could we put some of our the art that I've been doing? Couldn't that go on a mug or a T-shirt?
Yeah, there's no reason why it can't. Yeah, absolutely. Have the
Can we get a shirt with Sean doing a boudoir pic on the chair?
Yes, I can make that happen.
Okay, good.
I'm smiling because
you wouldn't be able to bring it into public because it might blind people. But
you have to put in LED white lights behind.
Yeah, you catch the sun's rays on that, and it would just it's like a darn whiteout. So
there is a picture of me when I was 20 or so, 20 or 21. When we went to visit my grandparents or my grandmother and family in Arizona, we went down to Tombstone and we went to Tombstone. And there at Tombstone, we went to Big Nose Kate's bar, restaurant to eat. And the man that was the sheriff, he was the sheriff of the town. He comes up to my table and says, would you guys like some pictures and stuff? I'm like, yeah. And so he put my grandmother, he wrapped one of those like big feather boas around my grandmother, and he sat next to her, and she was laughing. He was having a good time. So he pulls me aside and says, "You want to be a good sport?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. What you got?" He says, "Climb on top of the piano." So there's a picture of me laying down on top of a piano wearing a feather boa in my best "paint me like one of your French girls" pose.
Oh,
now, that photo exists only on a hard drive, and I will never put that on the internet for Sam to manipulate, because
Sarah,
Lord.
I'm contacting Sarah.
There's
going to be an Army of the Dead type heist into Sean's house to get this picture off the hard drive.
She doesn't know where it is. Anyway, that's going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for listening. And Andrew and Sam, I wanted just to say thank you guys for tonight. This was good. This was fun. This week has sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate you both a lot.
Yeah.
I really do. So on behalf of Andrew and Sam, this is Sean saying thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
This is Cheapseat Reviews.